All right, so get this. Chinese citizens reportedly fighting in Ukraine for Russia.
Wow.
Yeah, pretty wild, right?
Yeah.
Got to dig into this, see what's what.
Yeah, for sure. Huge implications if it's true. Like, what does it even mean for, China and Russia, their relationship?
Exactly. And for the war in Ukraine, everything. So today we're diving deep right into that.
All right, let's do it.
So these claims, right, they're coming straight from Zelenskyy, Ukrainian president. Says Chinese nationals, boots on the ground, fighting alongside Russians. And China's pushing back hard. We've got reports from, let's see, Reuters, NBC News, Associated Press, even The Independent, all saying pretty much the same thing. April 10th, 2025, big news day.
Big news day, for sure.
So our mission, cut through the noise, deliver the facts. What are the claims specifically?
Yeah.
What evidence is out there, if any, and how are both sides, Ukraine and China, reacting?
Exactly. Beyond the headlines, what's the core of it all?
Okay, so Zelenskyy, he's making some pretty bold accusations. Like, what exactly is he saying?
Yeah, so he's saying Ukrainian intelligence has picked up on something big. Over 150 Chinese citizens actively fighting on the Russian side.
150, that's a lot.
It is, and it gets even more specific, right? Because this isn't just some general statement. This comes after reports of 2 Chinese nationals captured in Donetsk, eastern Ukraine.
Right. And we know their names too, don't we?
We do. Wang Guangjun, born 1991, and Zhang Renbo, born 1998.
And they were officially part of the Russian military.
Seems so, yeah. Reports link them to different Russian brigades even. 70th, 71st, even the 255th motorized rifle regiments. Caught in different villages, too.
So not just a coincidence, 2 guys ending up in the same place?
Not at all. And Zelensky's really driving that point home. This isn't, he says, an isolated incident. It's systematic, part of a bigger Russian plan.
And he's even suggesting this root thing is happening inside China.
Yeah, that's a whole other level, but that's what he's implying.
So how does he figure that? What's his basis for all this?
Well, according to Zelenskyy, Russia's using social media. Big time. TikTok specifically and other Chinese platforms, they're running, supposedly, these advertising videos trying to recruit Chinese citizens. And the kicker, he says Beijing knows all about it.
Well, hold on. So they're saying China is in on this.
That's what Zelensky's alleging. Now, whether there's evidence to back that up, that's a whole other question.
Right. Because it's a pretty huge claim. You'd think there'd be, proof, right?
You'd think so. And Zelenskyy says they have it, or at least some of it. Ukrainian security services, they've apparently got lists, names, birth dates, even the Russian military units these supposed Chinese citizens are assigned to. 155 of them.
155? But wait, I thought he said over 150.
Yeah, a little unclear there. Maybe some overlap, or maybe some are missing info. Either way, they're claiming to have a good amount of detail.
And didn't Zelenskyy also mention something about, a prisoner exchange?
He did. He said he's open to swapping these captured Chinese fighters for Ukrainian soldiers held by Russia.
Wow, that's a big bargaining chip.
Definitely. And he even added this little tidbit. Said these captured Chinese are, quote, more talkative than the North Korean soldiers they've captured before.
More talkative? Interesting.
Very. Makes you wonder what they know, what they're saying. What's Ukraine getting out of this?
A lot of questions there.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's Ukraine's side. Some pretty hefty allegations.
Yeah.
But what about China? How are they taking all this?
Oh, they're not happy. Not one bit. Came out swinging, full denial. Groundless, irresponsible remarks. That's what their foreign ministry spokesperson, Lin Jian, called it.
Straight to the point.
No time wasted. And they doubled down hard on China's stand. Not involved, they say. Not the ones who started this whole thing. They just want peace.
Right, the whole peaceful resolution thing. We've heard that before.
Oh, absolutely. It's their go-to, at least publicly. And they went even further. Reminded everyone that China's official policy. Stay away from conflict zones. Don't get involved in wars. That's what they tell their citizens.
So they're saying if there are Chinese citizens fighting, it's not because their government sent them?
Exactly. Not officially, anyway. And they didn't stop there. Lin Jian basically told Ukraine, get your facts straight, understand our role, stop with the irresponsible talk.
Ouch.
Yeah, no kidding. They're not messing around. They want Ukraine to, back off with the accusations.
Okay, so we've got this whole thing playing out, and then there's the whole, China-Russia relationship, that no limits partnership everyone's talking about.
Yeah.
How does that fit into all of this?
Yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? It's complicated. They made that big declaration, no limits, right? But since the war started, China's been kind of quiet about that phrase, like they're backing away from it a little.
So maybe no limits had some limits after all.
Maybe. It's hard to say for sure. But one thing's clear. They're still tight. China hasn't sent troops, or at least we don't think they have, and no weapons, officially. But they are helping Russia out, big time. Diplomatically, for sure, and economically. Buying tons of oil, gas, minerals, even stuff that can be used for both, civilian and military purposes.
Dual-use goods, right.
That's the term.
Yeah.
So it's not black and white, their relationship. It's murky.
Makes you wonder about all this, like, North Korea stuff too, right? They're involved too, aren't they?
Oh, yeah, definitely. South Korea is saying over 11,000 North Korean troops are already there fighting for Russia. But China, that's a whole other level. Bigger economy, more global influence. If they really are involved, that changes everything.
A way bigger deal. And all of this is happening while the war, intensifies, right?
Yeah, unfortunately. The Ukrainian military chief, he's just reported a new Russian offensive. Eastern Ukraine. More attacks all over. Not good.
Not good at all. And there's other stuff going on too, right, internationally?
Yeah, like the UK. They just convicted a former Crimean governor, appointed by Russia, of course, breached sanctions, apparently. Shows that the international community, they're not letting up on the pressure.
Right. Sanctions are still a big deal.
Absolutely. And the war itself, the way it's being fought, that's changing too. Russia's using more and more drones, Iranian-made, these Shahed drones, causing a lot of civilian casualties, sadly.
Yeah.
And there's this report from the Institute for the Study of War saying Russia might be trying to set up a buffer zone along the border Sumy Oblast. Things are getting even more tense.
Jeez. Okay, so back to Zelensky's claims, specifically about Chinese fighters. It's important to remember, right, what's been confirmed and what hasn't.
Huge point. From what we've seen, neither Reuters nor NBC News, they haven't been able to verify any of this independently. That 150 number, the captured fighters, none of it. That's a big gap.
Right. And what about Russia? What are they saying about all this?
Well, the Kremlin, they've been surprisingly quiet. No official comment on any of this, which, speaks volumes in itself. What are they hiding?
Good question.
Yeah.
Anyone else weigh in besides, Ukraine and China?
Yeah, actually. Keith Kellogg. Trump's envoy to Ukraine and Russia, he's saying, hold on, maybe these guys are just mercenaries. Or volunteers, like the foreign fighters helping Ukraine. We've seen that happen. He's basically saying, don't jump to conclusions. Early reports can be wrong.
Makes sense. Okay, so where does all this leave us? What's the bottom line?
Well, we've got this big accusation from Ukraine. Chinese citizens fighting for Russia, maybe even recruited with Beijing's knowledge. They claim to have proof, but no one else has confirmed it.
Right.
And China, complete denial. We're neutral, this is baseless, Russia's keeping quiet. And some experts are saying, hey, maybe these are just volunteers, so who do you believe?
Right. It's messy.
It is, and that's the thing about war, right? Information is a weapon.
Yeah.
So much is unclear. But if Ukraine's right, and this is part of some bigger strategy, then things could get really tense between China and the West. Even just the idea of China getting involved, that has huge implications.
Absolutely. Like the whole global balance of power could shift.
Exactly. It all comes down to, verifying this information. We need solid proof, not just accusations. Until then, we got to be careful about jumping to conclusions.
So much to think about, as always, I guess. So for everyone listening, here's something to ponder. What if, regardless of whether these claims are true right now, what if this is just the beginning? What if this is how things escalate? How will China's role in the world change? What about Russia's? Scary stuff to think about.
Definitely gives you pause, doesn't it?
Big time. Well, that's our deep dive for today. Be sure to check back for updates. This story's definitely not over.
Not by a long shot.